If you've been trying to communicate with a narcissist, you already know that they will spin you around and around in circles, making you think that you are the problem. Maybe they're blaming things on your unresolved trauma, or maybe you're the narcissist, or maybe you're insecure, or you just don't have the mental or emotional capacity to get what they're saying. Every conversation leaves you spinning in confusion, self-doubt, and another chunk of your self-confidence and self-worth gets stripped away with every conversation. Now, I often have clients asking me if maybe they are the problem. Maybe it's their communication skills. And they want to know if there's something that they could say or not say that would make it possible to have a rational discussion with this person that they love, who they also suspect is a narcissist. And that's the question I will answer today. I'm Lise Leblanc. I've worked as a therapist for over 20 years and as a life coach for over a decade. And in today's video, I will give you 9 communication strategies to help you remove any doubt or any toxicity that you might be bringing to the conversation so that you can get the level of clarity and confidence that you're seeking. And at the end of this video, I will also tell you the one true gift that you will most certainly receive from prolonged exposure to a narcissist. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos that I post, usually weekly. This content is for informational purposes only, and it is not intended to replace professional mental health supports. The first thing to note about communicating with a narcissist is that they cannot and will not be wrong because it threatens their egoic, false sense of self. And if by some chance you do prove the narcissist wrong, they will gloss over it, deny it, say they meant something else, say that you didn't hear, see, remember, or perceive things right, or you just don't get it. Which is why it's not even worth them wasting their time and their breath trying to explain it to you. Somehow they will shift the blame and make it about you. So for example, if the narcissist lies about texting their ex, and let's say the ex sent you the screenshots of their correspondence, so you know it's true, you have the evidence, but even with that hard evidence, the narcissist will still try to deny or shift the blame. Maybe they'll accuse you of doing something that caused them to turn to her for support. It's your fault, you deserved it. And this is just one example to say that no matter what, the narcissist is not going to accept responsibility or be held accountable. So don't waste your time collecting evidence, at least not to show them, because they will burn the evidence faster than you can find it. And if they admit any fault whatsoever or take a morsel of the blame, it is usually a ploy. They're willing to lose a small battle at times in order to win the war. But the war will be over when the narcissist decides it's over, and that will only happen once they believe they've won. And you will be left with yet another blow to your self-worth. But it's not only the narcissist who is responsible for deceiving you. You are also deceiving yourself. Parts of you know what's going on. And this self-deception is what's keeping you from making the shifts in your life that will allow you to break free from, whatever relationships, situations, or environments that are not working for you. Okay, so let's jump right in with the 9 communication strategies that will give you the clarity on whether it is possible to have a normal, rational conversation with this person. So the first step is pick a topic that you are sincere about resolving or improving, but one that you're not too passionate or attached to or upset about. Let's take a simple example. Let's say you want to have a conversation about spending less time on your phones and more time communicating with each other. So write whatever topic you choose at the top of a piece of paper. Next step is set an intention. And this intention is to stay cool and collected no matter what happens during the conversation. Write your intention on a piece of paper, that same piece of paper below the topic of conversation that you chose. And staying cool is the only agenda that you have for this conversation. That's it. Your goal is to not bite on any of the hooks that are thrown your way and to not throw any hooks out either. No matter what buttons they push, how hard they push, or in what sequence, your job is to maintain mental calmness and emotional evenness just for this one conversation. And this isn't about gray rocking them and being cold and closed off. It's about not allowing them to trigger you into fight, flight, or freeze mode. Because if you are dealing with a narcissist, they have learned you. They know all of your vulnerabilities. They know your needs, your deepest desires, your values, your past traumas, and they will use this to manipulate you and puppet you emotionally. Because as soon as they rattle you, they know that they only have a couple more buttons to push in order to get you into a state where they can say, "See, this is why I can't talk to you." But today, in this one conversation, you will stay calm. Easier said than done, I know, but I want you to imagine that you'll get $10,000 if you get through this one conversation without letting them take over your emotional state. And don't just try to hide your reactions, try to manage them, because the narcissist is like a sniffer dog that's trained to use its senses to detect fear and other emotions. And if you don't react in the predictable ways that they've conditioned you to, it will throw them off and they will continue to escalate their efforts and tactics. So be mentally and emotionally prepared for your buttons to be pushed in every possible sequence. Every trick in the book will come out. Deflection, projection, gaslighting, blame shifting, guilt tripping, etc., etc. They will not give up easily because manipulating your emotions and creating emotional chaos and confusion is their main agenda. Keeping you mentally and emotionally off balance allows them to control you. And that's what makes them feel safe and secure. Step number 3, set some ground rules for yourself and only for yourself. Don't tell them about these rules or try to manage their side of the conversation. Just focus on your side. Rule number 1, don't bring issues from the distant past into the conversation. Rule number 2, no comparisons. Don't say things like "you're just like my horrible ex." Rule number 3, no loaded terms or name calling. Don't say always, never, lazy, bully, liar, cheater. Rule number 4, don't use any of their vulnerabilities or weaknesses against them. Rule number 5, make sure there are no drugs or alcohol involved on either part. Rule number 6, while they are talking, don't think about what you're going to say next, how you're going to defend or prove your point. Just listen. Try to get out of your already listening and your already knowing and try to hear and observe and truly understand what they're saying. Rule number 7, adjust your expectations. Don't go into the conversation thinking you're going to resolve anything. Just go in with the goal of staying calm, listening, and following the steps and strategies that I'm giving you to the best of your ability. Because this is what's going to give you the confidence to know that you can't fix or solve this problem. Strategy number 4, check in. So don't just jump into the conversation. Check in to see if this is a good time, because mutual convenience does matter. So in a calm, assertive tone, non-threatening tone, let them know that you'd like to discuss ways to improve communication in your relationship and ask whether this would be a good time for them. If you're dealing with a narcissist or highly toxic person, problems will likely start right here. They may start getting aggressive, defensive, or dismissive before you even say what's on your mind. Why? Because you're controlling the conversation. You're bringing the conversation and something that you want to discuss. So they might have an aggressive tone or body language, or they may say something dismissive like, "Oh, here we go again. What's the problem now?" They may rush you, push you, or shift into teacher mode where they're superior and just let you know what you need to do to improve your communication, because of course they have a PhD in communications and can teach you a thing or two about how to fix your communication problems. A well-adjusted person, on the other hand, might say something like, "What's up? What's on your mind?" Or they may say, "I was just on my way out. Can we talk when I get home?" But the narcissist will continue to try to disrupt your emotional state and get you off balance before the conversation even starts. Now, you may be tempted to shut down or react, but instead say something in a completely neutral tone like, "Is this a good time for the conversation?" Now, don't change this to, "Obviously you're not ready to have this conversation," or "Why are you making it my problem?" It is a natural impulse to defend yourself or get angry when someone's coming at you, but don't. Again, just stay cool for this one conversation. Strategy number 5, set the tone. Say that they are ready to have this conversation. Let them know that you really want to make sure that you both have an opportunity to speak without interruption and get the chance to fully be heard. Let them know that what they have to say is important to you and that you are interested in their thoughts, their suggestions, and that you also want the opportunity to share yours too. And if they cut you off during your turn to speak, assertively say something like, "Please let me finish," or "Please hear me out." Step number 6, share your perspective without making it about them. Even if you think it's about them or their fault, be open to the possibility that you may be co-creating some of the toxicity in your relationship and in your communication. Let them know how you've been affected by certain words or behaviors and talk about your needs and your suggestions to improve communication without pointing fingers. Now, with the example of wanting to spend more time together and less time on our phones, let's say, I might go to my partner and say something like, "I've been thinking that I'd like to spend more time with you in the evenings, talking, connecting, doing things together without being on our phones. Would you be open to putting our phones away for a few hours after dinner?" A non-narcissistic partner might express some, concerns like, "Sometimes I need my phone because I'm on call for work," or "What if there's a crisis?" Or they may ask for more details about, why this is a concern for me, or maybe they want more details of how that might look. A narcissistic partner will get disagreeable, defensive, or start attacking, even if they're not being overtly aggressive. So they might say things like, "I'm not on my phone all the time. I don't see why we need to do this. I find this is stupid. Why do you want to control when I use my phone? You're the one always texting, and I find that you're texting secretively. We spend plenty of time together. What are you talking about? Why are you creating problems where none exist?" Now, you might be tempted to respond to these, pokes, but calmly say something like, "I want to spend quality time with you, uninterrupted. Do you have any suggestions on how we could do that?" A narcissist will not like that you're not reacting, that you're staying on point. They may start to push harder. Maybe say that they are tired of you accusing them of always being on their phone, that your neediness is annoying, or that it's not their responsibility to make you happy, or cutting you down in other ways. So they're grasping at things that you never said. And this is not a normal way of communicating. So again, it would be a natural impulse for you to defend or attack, but I want you to just listen. Don't even think about what you're going to say next. Step number 7, restate and validate. So once they're done speaking, thank them for sharing their perspective, even if you don't agree with it, and check for understanding. Restate their main points as you understood them and as closely as possible. And then ask if you understood correctly. If you're dealing with a narcissist, they most definitely will correct you even if you repeat them word for word, and they will add and twist everything around to further confuse you. Don't react, just thank them for clarifying. Step number 7, stay on point. No matter where they try to drag you, just stay on point. And when they're done sharing their point of view, just get back on topic. For example, you might say, "Maybe you're right. Putting our phones away might not solve everything, but I would still like to spend more time with you and less time on our phones. I have a few ideas, but I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say." Again, if you're dealing with a narcissist, they will have learned you, and they will take great pleasure in confusing you, changing the subject, and spinning a web around you. So staying on point is no easy task. But if you do stay on point and in control of your emotions, they will get more and more frantic in their efforts to elicit an emotional response from you. If they can't instigate anger, they'll go for fear, maybe threaten you or the relationship. If fear doesn't work, they might try for guilt or pity. My point is, when they see you're not reacting in your predictable ways, they will quickly shift tactics until they are in control. In this case, you may be tempted to call them out, like say something like, "I can see that you're trying to make me feel guilty." But instead, say something like, "You seem really upset. Can you tell me more about what's happening for you right now?" And truly try to hold the space for them to tell you. And keep this detached kind of, observer perspective. And if they are a narcissist, you will quickly start to see them unraveling into a childlike state before your eyes. And if you can maintain control of your mind and your emotions, and they realize that all their tricks and tactics are failing, they may display narcissistic rage, threaten you aggressively, or just walk out. Or they may switch things up and try to elicit positive emotions instead, excitement, hopefulness, by making false promises to change. And this is usually only used as a last resort after all of their other tactics to elicit a negative response have been exhausted. With a non-toxic person, a simple request to spend more time together and less time on your phones may result in some, mild disagreement, and it'll land pretty quickly on some kind of agreement and commitment to move forward. A narcissist, on the other hand, will not back down until they get control of the conversation, of you, and of your emotions. And if you don't allow this, it will not end well, period. Pick any topic and stay in control of yourself and see what happens. Number 9, evaluate the conversation. So the last step is on a piece of paper right under the topic you chose and the intention you set. Just look at whether you managed to stay calm. And if you didn't, that's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just try again soon. If you did manage to stay calm and on point throughout the conversation, regardless of the narcissist tactics, and now the conversation is over and you survived, write about how you feel. Do you still feel confused mentally or emotionally? Even when you made your best efforts, are you leaving the conversation wondering what just happened? Wondering why they said certain things, what they meant by it, questioning, whether they care, whether they love you, feeling wrong, flawed, or maybe even crazy. Maybe you're wondering if, you need to try harder. I want to tell you that the answer is no. Stop trying and recognize that you do not need to go down this rabbit hole 1,000 times before you know. And I'm not judging because I know how a narcissist operates. But is it the narcissist who needs to change in, his entire way of being so that they can create a new and different and more fulfilling experience for you? Or is it you that needs to stop deceiving yourself and find the support that you need to make the shifts in your life? And, there is one gift that the narcissist can actually give you if you stay long enough. And this is enough pain and suffering to serve as a catalyst for your own healing, growth, and self-development. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and check out my playlist on narcissistic personality disorder.